The galaxy had always laughed at humanity. Across countless star systems, alien councils and military leaders watched Earth and its people with quiet amusement. They called humans fragile, primitive, and unworthy of recognition. They said humanity had no fleets that could span the stars, no weapons that could challenge galactic dominions, and no mind capable of understanding the vastness of space. For centuries, humanity had lived under that quiet shadow of ridicule. On Earth, the whispers of doubt were carried in stories. Children grew up hearing tales of alien empires that conquered planets effortlessly, while humans clung stubbornly to their small blue world. Yet, even in the face of mockery, a spark of determination burned in every human heart. That spark, small and flickering, would one day grow into a roaring fire capable of splitting the heavens. Commander Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the human cruiser Endeavour, gazing at the distant stars. Her eyes reflected both determination and the weight of responsibility. She had spent her entire life hearing that humans were weak, that they were not meant for the stars. Now, as reports of approaching alien fleets arrived, she felt the heavy burden of proving them wrong. "Commander," said Lieutenant Rion, the communications officer, his voice tense, "the Zirath fleet has entered the outer system. They've destroyed 3 colonies already. The remaining settlements are in panic. They're moving faster than we expected." Ilara's jaw tightened. Her fingers hovered over the console, a small tremble running through her hands, not from fear, but from the pressure of expectation. Humanity had always survived against the odds. They had endured wars, famine, plagues, and natural disasters on their home world. And now, in the vast cold of space, they faced an enemy that seemed unstoppable. "They think we are weak," Ilara said softly, almost to herself. Then louder, with unwavering resolve, she addressed her crew. "We are not weak. We may be small in their eyes, but they do not know what humans are capable of. Ready the crews. We leave at dawn. Humanity will not hide any longer." The crew of the Endeavour exchanged glances. Some were frightened, others nervous, and a few were already burning with the desire to fight. All of them understood the magnitude of the moment. For the first time in recorded history, humanity was not just defending itself. They were stepping onto the stage of the galaxy, ready to claim their place among the stars. As the ship prepared for departure, Ilara wandered through the halls of the cruiser. She watched young cadets checking their weapons with meticulous care, engineers calibrating the engines, and medical teams readying emergency stations. Each person carried a mixture of fear and hope, of doubt and determination. The ship was more than metal and technology. It was a living testament to human resilience. In the darkness of space, where alien eyes often watched silently, humanity had no reputation. They were underestimated, dismissed as fragile and insignificant. And yet somewhere deep inside, every human heart carried the same thought. They were more than anyone had ever believed. Back on Earth, whispers of doubt and fear mingled with courage and hope. Parents clutched their children, praying for the safety of those who had chosen to go into space. Scientists worked tirelessly, their hands shaking from exhaustion, knowing that the success of this mission might determine the future of their species. Engineers and designers scurried through orbital construction sites, building ships, weapons, and defenses that humans had only dreamed of before. Ilara knew the challenge was greater than anything they had faced. The Zirath were merciless. Their fleets destroyed planets without hesitation, and their weapons could level cities in seconds. But she also knew something that the aliens could never understand. Humanity's strength was not just in steel or technology. It was in courage, creativity, and the unyielding will to survive. On the observation deck of the Endeavour, she watched Earth slowly rotate below. The blue oceans and green lands shimmered like jewels. Humanity's cradle, The small planet they had always called home seemed fragile and delicate from space. Yet Ilara felt pride swell in her chest. From this tiny world, humanity had risen, again and again, facing challenges that should have broken them. And now, they were preparing to face an enemy that had conquered whole star systems. The night before departure, Ilara called a meeting with the senior officers. In the dim light of the command room, she laid out the strategy. "We know we are small compared to the Zirath," she said, "but we have something they do not: our determination. They see us as weak because they only judge with their weapons. They do not understand the power of hope, the strength of will, or the courage of those who fight not for conquest, but for survival. Our mission is not just to fight. It is to show them that humans cannot be ignored." Her words resonated through the room. Officers nodded, faces hardened by responsibility and fear alike. There was no bravado, only quiet determination. Humanity did not need to intimidate. They needed to survive, and in surviving, they would shine brighter than any weapon. As the hours passed, the ship prepared for departure. Engines hummed softly, life support systems checked themselves, and the hum of energy coursed through the hull. Outside, the stars shone like cold diamonds, indifferent to the struggle below. And yet, for the first time in human history, humanity was not hiding in the shadows. They were moving forward, ready to meet the galaxy on their own terms. Ilara stood once more on the bridge, looking at the faint lights of distant alien scouts. She thought of every human who had ever been told they were weak, fragile, or insignificant. She thought of the children who would inherit the stars, the families who had prayed for their survival, and the engineers who had built their hope into steel and fire. "They think we are weak," she whispered again, "but they have never faced us." At dawn, the Endeavour launched from Earth orbit, cutting through the sky like a streak of determination. The crew felt the vibration of the engines, the hum of energy coursing through the ship, and the weight of history pressing on their shoulders. Humanity had stepped into the galaxy not as victims, but as warriors of hope, bearing the quiet fire of a species that refused to be dismissed. And somewhere in the darkness beyond, the alien observers watched. With curiosity and disbelief, they had always underestimated humanity. They had always believed humans were fragile. But as the tiny human cruiser sped into the void, a spark of something larger, something undeniable, began to form. It was a spark that would grow into a raging inferno. A spark that would one day split the heavens. A spark that would show the galaxy the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was unstoppable, and this was only the beginning. While humanity's fleets prepared for war, a much larger project took shape in orbit around Earth. Hidden from prying alien eyes, engineers, scientists, and visionaries labored to create something that had never existed before: a mothership. It was not merely a vessel, it was a symbol, a testament to human ingenuity, courage, and hope. The ship was named Aurelia. Its hull shimmered with alloys engineered to withstand the deadliest of energy weapons, alloys that bent light and heat in ways alien technology could not comprehend. Its engines promised speeds faster than any human craft had achieved, able to traverse the void with precision and grace. And its weapons, its weapons, were designed not just to destroy, but to inspire awe. They were a symphony of light, fire, and human determination. In the orbital shipyards, the human crews worked tirelessly. Every day was a blur of sparks, heat, and grinding metal. Engineers floated through zero-gravity workshops, their hands stained with grease and sweat, adjusting reactors, calibrating shields, and connecting systems that, when combined, would become the heart of humanity's defiance. Scientists pored over star charts, calculating every trajectory, every possible threat. They were tired, exhausted to the brink of collapse, but there was no room for surrender. Children watched from observation decks, their eyes wide with wonder. They pressed their faces against the glass, imagining themselves aboard the great ship. One day, their small hands traced the paths of ships, imagining battles that had not yet been fought, victories not yet won. And in the quiet corners of the space stations, elders whispered to one another, recounting old stories of human resilience, reminding themselves that their species had survived ice ages, wars, plagues, and countless disasters. Now they were witnessing humanity's greatest challenge. Commander Ilara Voss arrived at the construction site one morning, her boots clanging against the metallic floor. She walked past workers, offering nods of encouragement and quiet words of appreciation. She knew the pressure they faced. This was not just a ship. This was humanity's hope made manifest. Every bolt, every panel, every wire, she said to the lead engineer, Maris Kellen, carries the weight of our future. Do not underestimate what you are building. This is more than steel. It is our courage, our unity, our determination. Maris smiled faintly, wiping sweat from his brow. We know, Commander. We feel it too. It's in every part of the ship. It's in the way it glows under the sunlight, in the hum of the engines before. They are even tested. Aurelia is alive with hope. Ilara ran her hand along the polished hull. She could feel the vibration of the energy flowing through it, subtle but undeniable. For a brief moment, she imagined the mothership in battle, its cannons unleashing torrents of light against enemies who had once laughed at humanity's weakness. The thought sent a shiver down her spine. Meanwhile, across Earth, news of the project spread quietly among the population. Humans everywhere felt the same mix of pride and fear. Some doubted whether the ship would ever be ready in time, while others believed with all their hearts that this single vessel could change the galaxy's perception of humanity forever. Communities gathered to watch the launch, whispering prayers, telling stories, and remembering the countless generations who had endured so much for this moment. Inside the ship, crews trained relentlessly. Pilots learned to navigate the massive vessel with precision, engineers rehearsed repairs under simulated battle conditions, and officers studied alien tactics, trying to predict every possible move the Zirath could make. Exhaustion was constant, but so was determination. No one dared stop, not when the hopes of an entire species rested on their shoulders. Ilara often walked among the crew, speaking quietly to those who struggled. "Remember why we fight," she said one day to a young pilot who had just lost his older brother in a training accident. "We fight not for revenge, not for pride, but for the people who cannot defend themselves. Every human, every child, every life on Earth counts, and every action we take strengthens that hope." The young pilot nodded, tears in his eyes, but a spark of courage igniting within. He returned to his station with renewed resolve, knowing he was part of something far greater than himself. The final assembly of Aurelia was a spectacle. Its massive wings extended across the docking bay, glowing with the energy of countless reactors. The weapons systems hummed, resonating with a quiet, terrifying promise. Ilara stood on the bridge, watching the ship come alive for the first time. "This is our dawn," she whispered to herself, "our light in the darkness." And indeed, it was more than a ship. From Earth, the launch platform cast a shadow across the surface, a giant omen of human courage. Satellites captured images that spread across the globe. Children pointed at the sky, elders bowed their heads in reverence, and humanity collectively held its breath. The night before the first test, "Flight," Ilara addressed the entire crew in the shipyard. Her voice echoed across the chamber, firm but emotional. "Tomorrow, Aurelia will rise. Tomorrow, we take our first step into the galaxy, not as weaklings, but as humans. Every ounce of courage, every drop of sweat, every thought of home, every longing to protect our families, it all flows through this ship. Remember who you are. Remember what we fight for. Remember that humanity is not fragile. Humanity is unstoppable. The crew erupted in quiet, controlled cheers. They knew the truth of her words. The exhaustion, the fear, the doubts, they all melted away in that moment, replaced by something stronger: unity, hope, pride. The feeling that they were part of a story larger than any one of them. A story that would be remembered for generations to come. At dawn, the test flight began. Aurelia lifted from its orbital platform, its engines glowing like molten sunlight. The hum of energy reverberated through space as the ship accelerated, its immense power propelling it forward with grace and precision. Every eye in the control room, every camera on Earth, followed the Mothership as it soared higher, faster, stronger than anything humans had ever built. The first human-made ship, capable of truly defending Earth and striking fear into the hearts of alien empires, had risen. It was not just technology that allowed it to fly. It was the spirit of humanity, embodied in steel, fire, and light. Ilara watched from the observation deck, tears glistening in her eyes. "We have taken the first step," she whispered. "The galaxy will remember today, and when the time comes to face the Zirath, we will show them exactly who we are." Somewhere in the cold, indifferent expanse of space, alien scouts watched the launch. They had always dismissed humanity, assumed they were fragile, weak, unworthy of attention. But now they saw a ship unlike anything they had imagined. They saw courage manifesting in steel. They saw a species refusing to be ignored. And for the first time, doubt crept into the hearts of the galaxy's conquerors. Ilara returned to the bridge, hands on the controls, and gazed at the horizon of stars. Aurelia would carry humanity's hope, humanity's pride, and humanity's unyielding courage into the void. And someday, the spark that had begun on a small blue planet would become a blazing fire, visible across the galaxy. The building of Aurelia was complete, but the real test had only just begun. Humanity was ready to rise. Humanity was ready to fight, and humanity would never be weak again. The void of space stretched endlessly, cold and silent, as the human mothership Aurelia and its fleet approached the outer rim of the Sol system. Stars twinkled like distant candles, indifferent to the struggles of mortal life. But for the humans, aboard the ships, the darkness held both terror and promise. Commander Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of Aurelia, her eyes fixed on the view screen. Sensors detected the first flickers of the Zirath fleet. Their ships were enormous, black and jagged, like floating mountains of alien metal. Every vessel radiated power. Every weapon bristled with the capacity to obliterate human craft in moments. The galaxy had whispered about their cruelty, but seeing them in person brought a cold clarity. These were predators that had never known resistance. Lieutenant Ryan broke the silence. "Commander, they're moving faster than we anticipated." "They've detected us." Ilara's jaw tightened. "Then they will see more than they expect. Prepare all systems for battle. Shields, weapons, fleet formations, every crew must be ready." Around her, the human crews moved with a tense determination. Pilots adjusted thrusters, engineers checked energy conduits, and soldiers loaded weaponry. Fear lurked behind their eyes, but it did not control them. Each human aboard the ships carried a single thought: "We will not be broken." The first salvo came without warning. The Zirath fired beams of energy that tore through the void, striking smaller human craft like lightning bolts. Explosions bloomed. In space, beautiful and horrifying, painting the darkness with fire. Human frigates shuddered, alarms blaring as the enemy's firepower tested every defense. "Hold steady," Ilara shouted. "Do not panic. They think fear will win, but it will not. Humanity does not yield." The Aurelia roared in response, its engines flaring with concentrated power. Its cannons unleashed beams of pure energy, slicing through the front ranks of Xerath ships. A smaller cruiser that had been moments from destruction now soared back into formation, saved by the Mothership's shields. The humans realized, in that instant, that courage could amplify strength, that unity could turn the tide even against overwhelming odds. In the midst of battle, the bridge was a storm of light, sound, and tension. Sensors flashed red, alarms screamed, and crew members shouted commands in unison. Yet amid the chaos, Elara remained calm, her voice a steady anchor. Focus on what we can control. Every shot, every maneuver, every human life counts. We fight for more than ourselves. We fight for Earth. We fight for hope. A Xerath warship charged directly at the Mothership, its claws of energy rending the vacuum like tearing steel. Human pilots screamed as they maneuvered to intercept, their small ships weaving between enemy fire, risking everything to protect the Aurelia. "Commander, they're breaking through our front line!" a young lieutenant shouted, panic flickering in his voice. Ilara's eyes burned with quiet fury. "Then we show them the heart of humanity." She activated the Mothership's secondary cannons, and torrents of light erupted from Aurelia, striking the alien ship with a brilliance that rivaled the stars themselves. The enemy vessel disintegrated in a flash of fire, fragments scattering across space. The crew cheered, but there was no time for celebration. Another wave of Xerath cruisers approached, faster and more organized than before. Ilara's mind raced, calculating every possible move. Every tactic, every strategy humanity had developed was now being tested in real time against a merciless foe. For every human ship destroyed, the Mothership seemed to burn brighter. It was as if the pain and courage of every human aboard, every sacrifice made in the name of survival, flowed into the ship itself. Energy surged along its hull, resonating with the will of those who refused to be conquered. The Aurelia was no longer just a vessel. It was a living symbol of humanity's defiance. Amid the chaos, Ilara allowed herself a brief moment of reflection. She thought of Earth below, the small blue planet that had given birth to her people. She thought of families praying, engineers building the impossible, children dreaming of stars. And she felt a deep, unshakable truth. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was fire, and fire could not be contained. The battle raged for hours, each moment stretching the limits of human endurance. Explosions painted the void with streaks of light, and the cries of human and alien alike echoed across comms channels. Yet through it all, the humans held their ground. They fought not because they expected to win, but because they refused to surrender. And sometimes, in the vast silence of space between bursts of energy, their courage shone brighter than any weapon. One of the youngest pilots, barely out of training, hesitated in the chaos. A massive Xerath destroyer loomed ahead, its weapons primed to annihilate him. He froze for a heartbeat, then remembered Ilara's words. He gritted his teeth and pulled the trigger, sending a precise shot into the enemy's weak point. The destroyer shuddered, sparks erupting along its hull, and then collapsed into debris. On the bridge of Aurelia, Ilara allowed herself a small, proud smile. See, courage wins where fear fails. But victory was not yet complete. The Xerath, Commander, a towering figure clad in liquid metal armor, appeared on sensors, orchestrating the alien fleet with terrifying precision. "These humans, they fight like stars themselves!" the alien hissed, disbelief and anger coiling in its voice. "How can such a fragile species possess so much fire?" Ilara knew that the greatest challenge was yet to come. The commander was clever, ruthless, and relentless. But so was humanity. She drew a deep breath, feeling the weight of history pressing on her shoulders. Every human life lost, every hope, every dream was now part of this battle. The universe had underestimated them for too long, and now it would pay attention. "Prepare the energy cannons," she ordered. "We will show them the full power of the human heart." The mothership's weapons glowed brighter than ever before, beams of energy slicing through the void with burning brilliance. Alien ships faltered under the assault, some disintegrating instantly, others retreating in confusion. The Zirath had never seen anything like it. The raw courage and ingenuity of a species they had always deemed weak now manifested in unstoppable fire. Amid the battle, the humans learned something profound. They were stronger together. Every pilot, every engineer, every soldier, every officer, each played a role that mattered. Humanity's power was not in individual might or alien-level technology. It was in unity, creativity, and relentless determination. As the first wave of the Zirath fleet began to crumble, Ilara looked at her crew, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "This is only the beginning. Today we fight. Tomorrow the galaxy will remember humanity. We are not weak. We are fire, and fire cannot be contained." The stars themselves seemed to respond, twinkling with silent applause as humanity's courage blazed across the void. And for the first time, humans did not feel small. They felt immense, unstoppable, and alive. The battle had begun. The galaxy had seen humanity rise, and the story of the humans' defiance, their courage, and their burning spirit had only just started. The battle in the void raged on, each moment stretching into eternity. Explosions lit up the darkness of space, scattering fragments of alien and human ships alike. The Aurelia floated like a beacon amid the chaos, its massive hull glowing with the energy of countless reactors, shields shimmering against every strike. The Zirath had expected humanity to crumble, but what they found instead was an unbroken spirit, a determination that no weapon could destroy. Commander Ilara Voss stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the sensor readings. The enemy had regrouped, forming a massive formation, their numbers still intimidating. And yet she could feel a subtle shift in the tide. For the first time, she noticed hesitation in the Zirath fleet. Their movements, precise and ruthless before, now carried uncertainty. Humanity's defiance was working. The courage of a single species could unsettle even the greatest conquerors. Lieutenant Ryan turned to her, voice tense. "Commander, they're holding back. They're recalibrating. Whatever we've done is affecting them." Ilara's jaw tightened, a flicker of satisfaction in her eyes. "Good. Let's make sure they regret underestimating humanity." Across the ship, every crew member felt the shift. Engineers worked with renewed vigor, rerouting power to shields and weapons. Pilots flew with focus and precision, their nerves steadied by the knowledge that the enemy could falter. Soldiers manned turrets, hands steady despite exhaustion. Every human aboard Aurelia realized that courage and unity could amplify even the smallest advantage, transforming hope into action, action into results, and results into survival. The Zirath commander, visible on distant sensors, bellowed in fury. "These humans, they are not breaking! They are stronger than we imagined!" The alien's voice trembled, a rare crack of fear in its otherwise commanding presence. "Destroy them. Leave nothing." But the humans would not be destroyed. Ilara activated the ship's advanced targeting systems, the mothership's weapons, humming with lethal promise. The secondary cannons flared, and beams of energy sliced through the enemy lines. Alien vessels exploded one by one, their arrogance shattered like brittle glass. Small human ships darted through the wreckage, striking weakened points, their pilots acting as one with the ship's will. In the midst of the chaos, Ilara thought of Earth. She thought of the millions of lives that depended on them. Not just those who had followed into space, but families, children, and elders watching from afar, praying and hoping. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival alone. They fought for hope itself. The Mothership carried that hope, that unyielding fire, into battle. "Commander," Ryan said, voice tight with urgency. "The Girath flagship is advancing. It's targeting us directly. Their energy cannons are ready to fire." Ilara drew a deep breath, feeling the weight of history pressing on her shoulders. "Then it's time we show them what humans are truly capable of." She activated the Mothership's ultimate weapon, a concentrated beam of energy designed to focus the collective will of humanity into a single blinding strike. It was a weapon not of destruction alone, but of conviction, of courage, of hope. The Aurelia shuddered as the weapon charged. Energy flared along the hull, lighting the bridge with a brilliant golden glow. Crew members gripped consoles, feeling the hum of raw power coursing through the ship. The Mothership's shields expanded, absorbing incoming fire while the weapon aligned with the enemy flagship. Time seemed to slow. Every human aboard felt the tension, the anticipation, the weight of destiny itself. "Steady," Ilara whispered, her voice calm despite the roar of engines and alarms. "For Earth, for humanity, fire!" The beam shot forth like a sliver of the sun, cutting through the darkness with a brilliance unmatched by any natural star. It struck the Girath flagship dead center, ripping through layers of alien armor, igniting reactors, and sending a shockwave across the fleet. Ships were thrown off course, some exploding in brilliant bursts of fire and light. The enemy's formation collapsed, chaos replacing order, and their morale crumbled under the unexpected fury of human ingenuity. The Girath commander screamed, fury and fear intertwining. "Impossible! How can these humans possess such strength? They are fire itself." Ilara watched, her heart swelling with a mixture of relief, pride, and sorrow. The battle was far from over, and many human lives had already been lost. Yet, in that moment it became clear, humanity had not only survived, they had turned the tide. They had proven that courage, unity, and hope could rival even the most advanced weaponry in the galaxy. Small fleets of human ships, emboldened by the Mothership's power, surged forward. They attacked with precision, striking vulnerable points in the remaining Girath vessels. Every strike was a statement. Humans were not weak. Humans would not be dismissed. Every explosion that tore through alien ships carried the weight of generations, a reminder that those who had once been underestimated could rise above expectation. Amid the chaos, Ilara allowed herself a rare glance at her crew. Faces glistened with sweat, eyes wide with adrenaline, but none showed despair. They were united, a single organism of courage and determination. Engineers, pilots, and soldiers all played a part in the symphony of defiance, and their efforts were paying off. Humanity was no longer merely surviving. They were asserting themselves as a force to be reckoned with. The Girath, once confident and cold, began to retreat in disarray. Their pride had been shattered, their numbers still formidable, yet their formation was broken, their morale failing. For the first time, they experienced the unimaginable. Humans who would not yield, humans who could fight with intelligence, creativity, and relentless courage. Ilara felt a deep satisfaction, tempered by the knowledge of the cost. Human ships had been lost. Brave pilots had given their lives, but their sacrifice was not in vain. They had lit a fire across the galaxy, a fire that could not be ignored, a fire that would burn in memory forever. "Ryan," Ilara said, voice steady but emotional, "send a message to Earth. Tell them we are victorious for now. Tell them the galaxy has seen what humanity is capable of." Ryan nodded, his hands trembling with exhaustion and pride. "Message sent, Commander. Humanity's courage will be heard across the stars." Ilara turned her gaze back to the wreckage of the battlefield, the remains of alien ships scattered like fallen mountains. The void was silent now, except for the hum of the mothership and the remaining human fleet. They had survived. They had fought. And they had won. But more importantly, they had shown the galaxy a truth that no conqueror could erase. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was fire, and fire could never be contained. In that moment, as the stars reflected in the eyes of every human aboard the Aurelia, a new chapter of history began. One in which humans would no longer be underestimated. One in which courage and unity could challenge even the most powerful empires. And one in which humanity, small but unyielding, had carved its name into the heart of the galaxy. The turning of the tide was complete. The enemy fleet had been broken, their confidence shattered, and the humans had proven their worth. Yet Alara knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, dangers awaited, and the lessons of this battle would shape every step humanity took from this day forward. But for now, as the human fleet regrouped around the mothership, as alarms quieted and the glow of victory warmed, the weary crews, a single truth burned brighter than any star. Humanity would not be weak again. They would rise, and when they did, the heavens themselves would witness their burning glory. The battlefield had grown silent. Fragments of alien warships floated in the void like shattered mountains, their blackened hulls glinting in the distant starlight. The Zhirath, once confident and merciless, had retreated into the depths of space, leaving the human fleet victorious. For the first time, humanity could breathe freely among the stars, their courage and ingenuity having carved a place in the galaxy where none had been granted before. Commander Alara Voss stood on the bridge of Aurelia, her eyes reflecting the glow of both destruction and hope. The battle had tested everything, the limits of human technology, strategy, and endurance, but it had also revealed the true strength of her species. Humans were not simply survivors. They were warriors of courage united by will and purpose. The galaxy had doubted them for centuries, and now it had witnessed the unimaginable. "Commander," Lieutenant Ryan said, voice heavy with relief and exhaustion, "the fleet is stable. Our losses are significant, but manageable. We did it. Humanity survived. We actually did it." Ilara's jaw tightened. "Yes, we survived. But more than that, we have left a mark that cannot be erased. The galaxy will remember that humans are fire, and fire cannot be contained." Around the bridge, crew members exchanged quiet words, some smiling through tears, others simply staring at the stars in disbelief. They had survived a confrontation no human had ever faced before. They had faced an empire that had conquered countless systems, and they had stood undefeated. Every life lost had fueled a new determination. Every act of bravery had forged a legend that would outlive them all. Below decks, engineers carefully repaired systems, replacing worn components and recalibrating shields. Pilots spoke softly among themselves, recounting moments of fear and triumph. Soldiers checked their equipment, honoring those who had fallen with solemn gestures. Humanity had endured, but the memory of sacrifice was etched into every part of the ship, into every human heart. Ilara stepped away from the bridge and wandered to the observation deck. The void stretched endlessly before her, stars like distant beacons watching the small blue planet they had once called home. She thought of Earth, of the families who had prayed, the children who had dreamed, and the elders who had hoped. Humanity's victory was more than survival. It was a promise. A promise that their species could rise above every doubt, every insult, every attempt to define them as weak. She whispered into the quiet air, we told them who we are, and they will never forget." Across the galaxy, alien observers recorded the events. Messages of confusion and disbelief rippled through the Zhirath ranks. How could a species so small, so underestimated, have risen against their might? The surviving alien commanders would recount this day for generations, warning others that humans were no longer to be dismissed. They had fought not with hatred or conquest in mind, but with courage, ingenuity, and a deep love for life itself. Back on the Aurelia, Alara gathered her senior officers for a final briefing. "Today we proved what humanity is capable of," she said. "But remember this, we have made enemies. The galaxy is vast and dangers remain. Our task now is to ensure that humanity's fire continues to burn. We will learn, we will grow, and we will protect our home. Our fight is not over, but our strength has been revealed." Maris Kellen, the lead engineer, spoke up, voice trembling with pride. "Commander, this ship, this fleet, it is more than a defense. It is a symbol. Humanity's heart made manifest, and the galaxy will remember it." Ilara nodded, a sense of calm settling over her. She knew that the Mothership was not merely a weapon, it was a beacon of hope. Every bolt, every panel, every pulse of energy carried the courage, ingenuity, and unyielding will of an entire species. Humanity had taken its first real step into the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same. Children on Earth watched the night sky, their faces pressed against glass, imagining the Mothership cutting through the darkness. Elders told stories of bravery, whispering legends that would inspire generations to come. Humanity's courage was no longer hidden. It was written across the stars. In the days following the battle, the human fleet returned to Earth orbit. The planet glowed beneath them, a small jewel of blue and green. Crowds gathered, cheering, crying, and celebrating. Humanity had survived, its first real trial in the galaxy, and had emerged not just alive, but victorious. Ilara walked through the hangars, seeing crew members embracing, some weeping for those lost, others laughing at the impossible that had become real. She stopped at the center of the ship, placing her hands on the glowing hull of the Aurelia. "You carried us," she said softly. "You carried our hope, our courage, our fire. You are not just a ship. You are the heart of humanity." She thought of every human who had believed in the impossible. The scientists who had designed the engines, the engineers who had worked through exhaustion, the pilots who had risked everything, and the soldiers who had stood steadfast in the face of overwhelming power. Every one of them had contributed to the legend that was now alive in space. And in that moment, Ilara understood something profound. Humanity's strength was not in weapons or numbers, but in spirit. No alien fleet, no empire, no challenge could extinguish the fire that burned within every human heart. The galaxy had seen it now, and it would remember. As the days turned into weeks, humanity began to rebuild. Ships repaired, fleets expanded, and Earth grew stronger than ever before. The Aurelia remained in orbit, a sentinel of hope and power. It was a reminder of what humanity had achieved, and of what they were capable of when united by courage and purpose. Ilara often stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. She thought of the battles yet to come, the challenges that awaited, and the new worlds humanity would encounter. But she also thought of the lessons learned, that courage could outweigh fear, that unity could overcome power, and that hope was the most formidable force in the universe. One evening, as the sun set over Earth, Ilara spoke quietly to her crew. "Remember this moment. Remember that we were told we were weak and we became fire. Remember that the galaxy has witnessed our courage. And remember that humanity's story is only beginning." The crew nodded, hearts full of pride and determination. They had faced the unimaginable, fought against overwhelming odds, and emerged victorious. Humanity had risen from the shadows of doubt and left its mark across the stars. The galaxy had seen humanity's fire, and that fire would never fade. It would shine as a warning and an inspiration, a symbol of what could be achieved when courage, unity, and hope guided every action. Alara watched the stars, feeling the weight and the promise of the future. She knew humanity would face more challenges, more enemies, and more tests of courage. But she also knew that as long as humans carried their fire within, they would never be weak again. And somewhere deep in the cosmos, where alien eyes had once looked down on Earth with scorn, those same eyes now looked with awe, fear, and respect. Humanity had carved a name for itself in the galaxy, a name that would be remembered for generations. A species small in size, but enormous in courage. Fragile in appearance, but unstoppable in spirit. A species that had proven that even against the greatest powers, hope and determination could split the heavens in burning glory. Commander Alara Voss stood alone on the observation deck one last time, gazing at the stars. "We have shown them who we are," she whispered, "and we will continue to shine." Below, Earth continued to turn, its blue oceans and green lands shimmering under the light of the sun. Humanity had survived, humanity had fought, and humanity had risen. The story of fire, courage, and defiance had just begun, and the galaxy would never forget it. And in the silence of space, the Aurelia waited, ready to carry humanity's fire to the farthest reaches of the stars.